8th day of July 2021. Oh no, 2022. Yeah. All right, so I'm a year behind. 13 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock as we embark on a Friday. Mike DeMoro will join us first. Congressional candidate Mike France will follow. From the Cultural Coalition, Wendy Burry here in the studio. A little later on, Bob Stefanowski. We blocked out the last 90 minutes for phone calls, so no excuse. If there's something you want to talk about today, well, we're here to talk about it today, and we can get into some of that stuff. Somebody sent me something that I want to share with you to start, and I'm sure I'll butcher it, but let's do it. The state of your mind. It is all in your thought and thinking, this world you're living in. You may paint it bright as a rainbow or black as the deepest sin. You may live in the cheerful sunshine or the shadows that fall behind. But the world that you live in daily is all in a state of mind. So I was thinking about that yesterday and how we go about our day. And essentially, we're in control of how we feel. And if you're having a bad day, I hate to say it, it's on you. Now, again, there's outside circumstances that play in. Of course, there are terrible things that can happen, calamities, etc. But if you get up in the morning and you're just mad, well, whose fault is that? That's yours. Now, again, society is weighing in on all of us. Society is like a 1,000-pound weight that is on your chest every single day. I understand that, right? We're fighting a fight of the ages, right? We all are. If you're listening to me right now, you're part of this. You're part of this army that's fighting. Otherwise, you're listening to, I don't know, Ariana Grande as you're tapping your feet as you're going into work, drinking down your energy drink and on your way for your 9 to 5 and blocked out everything. I mean, there are people out there who are doing that, right? Otherwise, if you're here with us today, you're part of the solution. And you should spread the word that we should all, every day, be part of the solution. But to start the morning, I mean, I do it. I get up sometimes on the wrong side of the bed, and then the rest of the day you're angry, something happens stupid in here, and I get mad. And I try not to do that as much anymore. I do my best. But you make your day out of, you do you, and you make your day the best it can be every single day. If you want it to be a day that's filled with nothing but shadows, that's sort of up to you. If you want it to be rainbows and sunshine, I think you can make that happen as well. But again, I always have to balance the scales on that because I do realize that on the flip side of that, we're living in a very tumultuous time, right? And people are under a tremendous amount of pressure. And you think about it, there's a silent crisis that is simmering beneath the surface, and it's hidden every day by all of the chaos that is news, right? And you're feeling it, I'm feeling it. Most people listening to me are feeling it. Now, some people are better off than others, and it's not as bad for them, but the crisis is a certain level of income inequality. The United States has danced for decades around this issue, right? Inviting destiny to eventually fuel a violent eruption, pitting the very poor against the very rich. It's not going to be a race war, guys. It's going to be a war of classes if we ever fight each other. The day of reckoning may be approaching at an accelerated rate. Due to, the idiot in charge and all the circumstances surrounding the pandemic, we may finally bear witness to the breaking point that turns average, law-abiding, hard-working citizens into rebels, taking up arms against their fiscal oppressors. When you start being hungry, or going to bed hungry, or worse, your kid's going to bed hungry because you don't have any money, or you've been squeezed out of a decent life, you will take up arms. You will fight back. Just the way it is. According to the Economic Policy Institute, between 1979 and 2007, paycheck income for those in the richest 1% exploded, while more recently, from 2009 to 2018, the bottom 90% had wage growth of just 6.8% compared to 19.8% of top earners. So essentially in the last 10 years, on top of what they're already making, the highest level of the fiscal rung are making 30% when you're making 6%. That's the difference, the amount that they're making compared to what you're making. Essentially, the rich are getting wealthy while the middle class and the poor continue to struggle, even during times when we had an economic explosion, like a boom. So they're getting super wealthy, and you're doing okay, at least during the times of economic booms. Now we've got a flip happening, and it's getting worse. So this isn't an effort, by the way, I'm not trying to chastise the super rich. Nobody should ever be punished for being successful. This is simply an ominous warning of what may come. I'm a firm believer in capitalism. Right? You put in the sweat equity, you get stuff out of it, you deserve it. America was built on the backs of geniuses who invented things and worked harder than anybody else. It's brilliant. Entrepreneurs. Just incredible stuff. But we're beginning to wade into some deep waters, guys. The current state of this crazy country that we're living in, where free money is handed out left and right, has caused a complete tilt and balance. There's a perilous collapse on the horizon. We're not in a good position. We're not. Most folks, according to most studies, 70% of Americans do not have $1,000 stashed away. 70% of Americans don't have $1,000. What will happen when oil tanks can't be refilled? Electric bills can't be paid. Mortgages and rent payments are too much of a burden to bear. I want to talk about a fiscal apocalypse. It's not that far away. We're $30 trillion in debt and rising every day. Can't pay that back. That's not happening. Not in your lifetime or your kids' lifetime. Relief package after relief package. Money spent on, I talked about this. You were handed what? A few checks totaling a few $1,000 by the time it was all said and done. Yet the entirety of the stimulus packages were close to $6 trillion. I took the calculator out and did the math. It would have been somewhere like $40-something thousand per person. Where the hell did that money go? Who got the bulk of that money? I know businesses that took these COVID loans, they didn't need it, and they got fat. They actually made money during COVID. Because we have a government with either zero oversight or that's ripe with fraud. You should be furious about that. Rich business owners who didn't need the COVID relief got it. It wasn't a loan, they got it. They kept it. And what did you get? A few $1,000, maybe? Maybe. We're teetering on the edge of economic suicide. Now, historically, Americans have been resistant to government handouts. We've been better than that. We have. But I think that attitude is completely changing. In some cases, multiple generations now of families have become dependent on regular government payouts to make ends meet. Think about your grandfather. And think about if you told your grandfather that he was going to have to go on public assistance and get a check from Uncle Sam every week in order to put food on his family's table. It would have killed him. He would have never did it. Never went along with it, ever. We do. We have generations of folks who have welcomed the idea of getting a check from Uncle Sam or an EBT card or food stamps or whatever without a shred of guilt. No remorse, none of it. According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, 50% of adults now receiving food stamps. 50% are receiving food stamps now in the United States of America. Remember, politically speaking, a couple things you can always look back to. Money, right? Who's making money? Where's the money? Follow the money. And follow the politics. And politically speaking, the bigger the handout, the more magnanimous the politician appears to be. The more readily and easily folks are willing to vote for somebody who's willing to write them a check and give them stuff. That's where we become. And it's what it should be, the exact opposite. You should be championing politicians who want to facilitate your growth and give you opportunity to succeed, not to give you money. That's the road to ruin. So look at the politicians who are promising stuff and promising more stuff and promising more stuff. After a certain amount of money is given out, they'll get to a point where that will be impossible to sustain. And then the complete economic collapse will happen. Because what will happen when those folks who are getting assistance now, there's no more money for them. And then the people who have been squeezed to the point, the breaking point, with taxes, etc., or with high prices of inflation, etc., are squeezed to the point where they can't afford it anymore. Now you're on the sort of on the edge of the abyss. The trigger setting off social anarchy might be as small as a viral molecule on the tip of your finger. Economic collapse. If we fight each other, it won't be because of race. It will be because of money. We'll be right back.